Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Ooh, it's cramped here. I have like a stack of books right here that I'm gonna get through right now, which as you can see with the title of this video, something quick, light, not something really in-depth, just something I was like, here's what I'll talk about. Which there really isn't much to talk about, just trying to share just some of the things that I've been into and things that I have been enjoying and for the past year. It's been a minute since I last uploaded a video or recorded anything or did a review or anything like that. There's been a lot of decks that and books and that I got and I was like I haven't shared on here, but that's mostly because I don't really want to like make my channel just what's it called? How would I describe it? Oh gosh, the word eludes me. But it's essentially just an advertisement, I don't want it to just be like a here, this is what I like, I don't want it to be like I just want it to share what the things that I liked and I got and stuff like that. So yeah. These are like maybe half the books that I bought and read that are fiction and horror books in particular that I read and I enjoyed. The ones that I read and I didn't enjoy, I moved those along. I'm not gonna bother with that, but it was, what was it? I read The Deep by Nick Cutter. That was very very intense. I could feel the claustrophobia in that book. But I feel like the ending wasn't really well paid off. If that makes sense. Like the ending just didn't make sense. Like I knew the ending was coming too, and I knew that was the type of ending that was happening, but it still didn't feel in the end it didn't really make sense, for me. It just wasn't, but the ride was really fun. The next one that I really enjoyed was, but I didn't keep, I like, again, the rides were fun, but I'm like, it's just like, as a whole, like they didn't really, um, what's the word? There wasn't closure there, I feel, with these books. The next one was The Last Days, I think Last Days, by the same author uh, that wrote The Ritual, which is a really good movie on Netflix. And I was like, okay, Last Day sounds like an interesting title. It sounds like an interesting concept and all that. But I think it was a lot of what's the word? It seems that he was so focused on a lot of unnecessary detail sometimes. And again, like only like till like later past the beginning of the book did we get any like solid like this is where the book is going. This is the plot. Let's like move along the plot here. Uh and so yeah, that book there was something off about it. Like we didn't really get much depth in the characters, but there was an interest like the horror world that was built here was fascinating, especially the part with the Saints of Filth. Like that really stuck with me. Um and it had to deal with a cult. There was ghosts, found footage, kind of. It was a whole thing. But that one, in the end, though, it didn't really vibe with me, so I moved it along. There was a few other books, but those two were the ones that really stood out to me. That I was like, meh, you know. So yeah, but these though are books that I've read and I enjoyed, and I plan on keeping in my library because they are really really good. So this here is the Saturday Night Ghost Club. Barnes and Noble was having like a deal. You get a drink from Starbucks, you can or something. You get the book for $5. They have a few every now and then. They have these books like that, and this book is coming of age 1980s horror in a way. There's some really dark stuff here, even like a small little subplot story in this concerning the main character's childhood. Um, is written again in another of his books, in The Deep by him. This is Craig Davidson is Nick Cutter. So he wrote the Troop, he wrote The Deep, and I think it's called Little Heaven, which I believe is now is now a movie on, I believe, Netflix. I'm not sure. The Deep would be a fun movie to see though. But it'd be very it's there's a lot going on in that book. But this one though, I really I enjoyed it because it was short. It was which I'm now starting to appreciate short stories here. But it gets really dark at times. Like there's a lot of violence and quite a bit of trauma. It's interesting that it's trauma that we kind of forget within our nostalgia of it, and I think that's why I like this book. Mind you, I've never grew up in the 80s, but let's be honest though, kids be getting up to some like fuck shit that, that's in this book here. I was like, how did anyone survive? Yeah, the horror stories in here are really good, and the characters are very, very, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the book, and so I'm gonna keep it. It's staying in the library. This one is the last book I finished reading, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This is the last book I completed reading. Victor Lavalle's The Devil in Silver, about essentially about our main character Pepper. They say his name, and I forget his name towards the end, but he's always known as Pepper. And he says that's his name as like like he's trolling the the institution there. And it's about this minotaur that's in this mental hospital. Would that be the correct term? I believe that is not the correct term, but yeah, he is unfairly committed to a hospital, um, due to due to some physical altercation that he got into over some woman. And so yeah, they keep him in there, and they're like, you're only gonna stay for a week, and then he's like, he does some stupid shit, and he gets stuck there for like 3 months. So yeah, and it's eventually it's really good in its self-awareness and checking oneself and one's privilege, I guess, one's mental health privilege. What is it? The being non neurodivergent, and yeah, and it's quite, it's poignant, I believe is the word. Beautifully written. It was comfortable to read despite the very stressful topics, the plot that was going on here. So yeah, I quite like this. The Devil in Silver. First of all, the title and the cover is what got me. And yeah, this I think would be a great movie. I think. The next book I read was one that I was like, what? How am I reading through this? I'm surprised I even finished this book. The Washington Post says it perfectly. Riotous, debauched, and voracious. There were a few moments that this book made me laugh out loud, but for the most part, I was like, what the fuck did I just, like, that is what I read here. And yeah, it was oblique. The ending, like, I wasn't a big fan of the ending because it was like there was no solid ending. Like the character's about to do something, and like the characters are going off and doing something. I'm like, wait, like I want some resolution. And I guess in a way there is, but yeah, I don't know. There's what's her name? Ina, right? Yeah. Yeah, she is like probably like my favorite character, but Ina and Merrick, they get into some weird shit that I'm like, oh, so trigger warnings all around for like any of these books, really. I feel, because they are horror, edgy. This one's not horror per se, but there is a lot of graphic, debauched, nasty stuff in here. And but it's well written, and like to the point to where I didn't want to put it down. I wanted to be like, wait, I'm gonna finish this, mostly because of the size. Like it wasn't too much. It was a quick read. And so yeah, and so I keep picking up but not and putting back down in the store my year of rest and relaxation, also by Otessa Moshfegh. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. But recently, Eileen, it's been announced that as the trailer just dropped for Eileen, which I'm like, it's Anne Hathaway and some other actress in there. But this, for some reason, I wanna keep it. I want it. I want to keep it in my library for some reason. So yeah, the next book I read, I believe it was after I read La Pavona, um, and that's The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. I loved this as well. Very short, very contained. I was at the edge of my seat just trying to see what the hell is going to happen next. What is that on my cover? And it horrifying and creative for such a thing that like once you when I heard of what the Silent Companions were and the description in it, I was like, so it's like a wooden statue of just like with like a canvas on top of it and painted to look like a person. Like this right here, what you're seeing here is a Silent Companion, but they're two-dimensional. They're flat. They're like a flat wooden board is what it is. Like a plywood or something, right? Is that the word? Yeah. And it's carved into the shape and they're called that. And it's interesting to see how they tied into the story. They're like a whole entity in it of themselves. They're just one villain in the story. And there's a twist villain, but I kind of saw it coming, but I wasn't really sure how it was gonna play out. And it's a lot. There's a lot, but I enjoyed it. Dark as well. And trigger warning for pregnancies. Yeah, I really felt for the main character. I was like, is it like, and this is one of those books where I felt for her because, like, who can you really trust? And it turns out that really the people that she was trusting and like I'm like, don't trust her, maybe don't trust. And it turns out no, wait, she was one of the real ones. And then yeah, a tragic ending. But I think in the end, what's her name? Let me see if I can find it. The Heta. I'm like, Heta got, Heta was a bad bitch, and she did that. Really good. I loved it. Um, the next book this is the book that sparked my horror binge read it was like what, like 3-4 months maybe. I was just like, next book, next club, another club, no sleep, you know and it was My Best Friend's Exorcism. I watched Movie Bitches mention the movie, and how one of the co-hosts there mentioned that the book was way better and it had much more heart to it and all that, and it really does. I'm like, I just know that movies these days, how they're written and how they're produced, just would have just totally butchered the point of this book. And because as horrifying and harrowing as this book is, and again, much like, again, 80s nostalgia kind of going on here, like with Craig Davidson's The Saturday Night Ghost Club. Here, that's not kind of the point. That's just the setting. It's a wonderful setting, and there were horrifying moments and really parts that I was like, no, don't do it, and parts that I was that I was like, oh God, what's gonna happen now? Is she gonna give up? I was like, what are we gonna do now? And in the end, though, it had me crying. I was crying to this book, to this ending, just because of how good it was. Just how, not how good it was, but like the bond of this best friendship, of these two girls. I loved it. I loved it. So yeah, and the book cover is it's so cool as like a VHS copy. So yeah, so Grady Hendrix is the author, and I'm a Grady Hendrix stan. I don't think he has yet to flop. No skips. I trust his judgment. I trust his writing. I know when I pick up his book now, any books of his, I'm coming in for, I'm in for a wild ride. And so after that, the next book I read after that one is Horror Store, and this is one that I would love to see a sequel to. He kind of sets it up for a sequel. and it's like set up as like a catalog that gets much more horrifying slowly. The more you see it. So first it's like, oh, it's just, a table and some chairs, and then it's like torture devices at the end. The ghostly world building in this is very interesting because it's like it's like an IKEA knockoff store that was built on top of where a prison used to be, but it was like a prison for I believe for the criminally insane. Again, terminology, I'm not sure if that's correct or proper, but still, again, very very perilous, and it held me. I was hooked. I think I read this in like a day, maybe two, maybe more. I don't know. Maybe I might be giving myself too much credit, but yeah, it's really good. The formatting is quite interesting with these huge margins right here. But yeah, yeah, this was his debut, and not as good as My Best Friend's Exorcism or as the next book here, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. These two, this was Best Friend's Exorcism, Vampires, probably the best. If you're gonna start with one, I would recommend My Best Friend's Exorcism and start with this one. It's canon, or he says that it takes place in the same universe, and they're kind of opposites to each other, almost like a yin and yang to each other, where it's, and similar to, again, and I made this comparison, I think I commented on Sylvan's Deadly Sins. Is that his channel name? Is that how? In Sylvan's channel, about It by Stephen King versus The Outsider by Stephen King. Both kind of very similar ideas of children in danger. And here, the same thing is happening here. Children are in danger, and the parents are reacting in different ways. Very terribly in this one. Well, and is the main focus here. It's a group of moms working together to, slay a vampire. Well, more so one mom's perspective and her gaslighting, or being gaslit, I should say, and for fear of the children, and all that. And his books always have a theme to them with their chapters. So Horror Store had all the like products in the of like furniture products for each chapter. Each chapter in My Best Friend's Exorcism it's a playlist. Like, I bet you could even, I'm pretty sure there is a playlist on like Spotify or something that you can get for this, of like a bunch of 80s songs. Like, let's see here. Yeah, Parents Just Don't Understand, and One Thing Leads to Another. So yeah, Sunday Bloody Sunday. Yeah. So yeah, but this one was really like perilous, and also sets up for probably a bigger universe, maybe, but we're not sure. It's and also a very interesting take on a vampire, and very dark, very very dark. Trigger warning for child abuse and what else? Spousal abuse? I don't know. And racism. There's also racism here because it takes place in the South. It's talked about, and I think it's handled quite well, but I'm not one to cast a good judgment on that. I would have to hear other people's perspective on that are more well versed in saying like, this is good, representation and depictions of it, and settings, and all that. So yeah. Anyways, moving on, the next one here. I'm surprised I read this one too, also about a cult like The Last Days, but this one was much more entertaining and much more fun. This is Mary by Nat Cassidy. He has one other book. I think it's called like Nestling. But I think I'm okay with this. I'm okay. I've read enough, and this is a cult. It's about a small town cult and a serial killer. And I'm not really big on serial killer fiction because I just don't, I feel like serial killers are so real that I think their horror is really more so fitted for documentary, because I feel like there's no need to fantasize about other serial killers. But the serial killer only like is only a small role, like is like key to like making to the plot, and all that, but he's really not the main focus. um and again, I don't read much of serial killer horror novels, mostly because I feel like it can be a bit gratuitous at times, but I'm sure I'm wrong on that. But yeah, this is a really, I really enjoyed it. He compares it to like, and of course this is a male author writing about, writing in a woman's perspective about menopause and all that, and the changes women go through during menopause, and essentially, yeah, her loneliness is also one thing that I attach to, uh, that I see a lot in, which again is something that I noticed in Talk to Me, a movie that just came out recently, but also about possession. Yeah, this is a weird possession book, but it's, yeah. I don't know if my mic picked that up, but my laundry machine, my washer is done, so I'll have to go put that in the dryer real quick. But yeah, but this was really fun. I really enjoyed her aunt. At first, I thought her aunt was being like going to be set up as like a bitch, but honestly, she kind of carried this book, even though she's not in it a lot. I think she's like the best part of the book, and like I'm glad. Nope, nope, I'm not gonna spoil it. If you guys want to pick it up, I recommend it. A 4 out of 5 stars. Now, this was a book that the concept is very simple, but usually with horror books, when it's a simple concept like this, like it's gonna go wild. To be like to be in the psyche of Kathy Koja when she wrote this, the writing on here is really darkly beautiful. Um, and it's a really dark and fucked up book. It's The Cipher, and it's about a black hole appearing in an apartment complex, but it's also about the main character. What's his name? It doesn't say. It doesn't say. Come on, it just says Nicholas. There we go. Nicholas, and his situationship, I'm gonna call it, with Nakota. He's like obsessed with her, but Nakota couldn't give two shits about him. Or well, they hook up, but there's like Nakota doesn't give a shit about him, but she kind of only attaches to him because of the black hole in their apartment complex. And it's really not an actual black hole. Like if it was a black hole, like it'd be no. I don't think a black holes act the way this black hole does. And so they just call it the hole. And so you get to see the like how it just how their relationship is just rawly toxic, and uh how people just stay in situations and why they come back to them. There's something more going on to this story, and it's like I said, it's weirdly, darkly, grossly, beautifully written. And I, again, like much like La Pvona, it's one that like it gripped me, and I had to finish it. I had to see where this went, and it's yeah, it's not a happy ending, and it's not an easy read. It's not something that you should read for happy times. Yeah, which I'm thinking, I'm like, now if I were to try and read this now, I would not enjoy this book in terms of like its content and its subject matter, um right now at least. But I still think it's good. Like I don't know, as like how, again, just how it's written. How did she write this? I don't know. So yeah. So the last two fiction books I read was these are the last two, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken, there's probably a few others, but these are the ones that are the most prominent. So I read Babel, An Arcane History by R.F. Kuang. This was sitting on my shelf for quite a long time. Just the whole, the cover, the title, the themes, the what the book was about. It really fascinated me because I love the concept of translation. I'm not a polyglot like some people, right? Is that the right word? Honestly, that sounds like a slur. That sounds very like, I don't know, polyglot sounds problematic for some, but it's not. But it's just, someone that knows many, many languages. And so this is about translation and the cultural colonial power that translation has. It talks a lot about racism, colonialism, and the British Empire, and also about revolution, what it takes, and the price and the costs of revolution. And I think when this book came out, when did this book come out? 2022. Really, I feel like it came out longer than that. But I think after this, during this time when this came out, we had the pandemic. We had Black Lives Matter, at least here in the US. The focus here was that. I think, yeah, Black Lives Matter did have its protests as well in the UK, I believe, from what I've seen online. Uh, and this book, I think, was a product of how people thought revolutions or protests happen, what it takes to do that, and what really, like, how far are people really willing to go for actual change, for direct action. We rarely see that, because I'm thinking of, like, you know, several wars for independence. They weren't protests. They resulted into wars because of how violent it is. There's far more to the conversation to be had about this than I could ever have any good insight or any any valid proper insight on it, because then I might just sound like an idiot, but or say something wrong. But I liked how it talks about that, but there are things I wasn't a big fan of. It just ever so slightly teeters on being boring. If I wasn't so interested in translation and like translating words and what words mean in different, and the context and different connotations of words, like of and how they vary. Like sometimes they may mean the same thing. Like in English, you can easily just translate them to the same thing, but honestly, no, they're not. They're very different. And so, yeah. But if I wasn't interested in that, I would have easily been very, very bored of it. What I really liked, what I really would have loved, is some more building of the interpersonal relationships between Robin, our main character here, and the other three classmates that he was with. I really wish that we saw more of it. We're being just told they grew really close together over the next few weeks, and it's like, yeah, but I would like to see that. I would like to see moments of where they know they can be intimate and open with each other, where they know that what they have is a safe space. There is also another issue. I believe R.F. Kuang, there seems to be a repeating pattern with her books. I haven't read any other books, mind you, but the only other time where she writes about a white girl, she doesn't paint them in the most positive light. They're always something, which I will agree. Sometimes they be, sometimes white girls, white women. I'm sorry, but y'all be on some shit sometimes. But I feel like, though, there's more to go into. I'm not gonna fully open and go into that can of worms there, and because then it'll just evolve into some conversations that I'm not ready to have right now. But other than that, I enjoyed it though, and I would like to hear more discussions on it as well, because it's really good. Also, the cover, sickening. Like, I love a good book cover, but there's another version where it has Babel like on here covering the tower, and I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that as the special edition? Like, come on. But yeah, anyways, really good, but a slow read. It was probably one of the slowest reads compared to the other ones. The last book I read, not the last book, the last in this list, is Born by Jeff Vandermeer. Very in line with what would be the closest thing to it? Like E.T. and Splice and Stranger Things, like the like 11 in Stranger Things. Like there's that same Born is that kind of same type of character, I feel. I don't know what that would be called. Um but this is a very weird book. I mean, he wrote Annihilation, and if you've seen the movie, uh, you kind of get an understanding of how he writes. But I will say this is far more grounded in its plot, uh, compared to his books Authority or Acceptance, the sequels to Annihilation. Those get very avant-garde, weird. What am I reading? Like, wait, did I read that right? Like, no, you get a pretty clear understanding. Like, what he's writing is, yeah, that's what you should be seeing. Like, he describes Born as like a weird upside down squid or anemone or something like that. Of like, it wasn't really clear whether he was like vegetable or animal or an amoeba of some sort. But that's just the start of it. There's a giant flying bear named Morb? Mord? Morb? Let me see. I'm not sure where is it. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, and a giant bear. It doesn't say his name. I know they say it, no, but yeah. But what's cool is the world building here. This company that essentially created or caused the world to end, created these biotech, all these animals that were used for different things. Uh, so yeah, so we have like alcohol minnows, anonymous meat packets of anonymous meat, company lichen, company moss, and they each do like different things. Some of them are like edible, you eat them. Some of them are like weapons. Like I think beetles were like used for different things. Fireflies are used for light. The flounder creature I think was used for one of the characters uses it as like a map, and it like and it and the patterns on the fish make the map on of the maze that they have. The foxes are also like they're like intelligent creatures. Like they something about it. Yeah. And then yeah, there's a leviathan. Yeah, a lot of different creatures. Yeah, a memory beetle. I don't know. You can pause and read what's on there if you would like, just to get a taste of what goes on here. But it's essentially about our main character Rachel, and how she survives through this company, and how Born changes everything, and how and ways for this world to start healing again, and because it's all polluted, like nature is not healing in this book, and yeah, and the relationship between Rachel and Wick, as well. There's another book, I believe he's writing another book in this world. No. I think it's like A Strange Bird is a novella that he wrote in the same one, as well as I have it, but I haven't read it. Dead Astronauts, and the dead astronauts are there too. There's some very scary moments here as well, um, and some quite very sad moments. But in the end, there's a happy ending, and I love I don't know if you can see it in the cover, uh, Mord the bear in the shine of the lamination of you can see his maw, his teeth there, and there's his nose at the top. Yeah. But anyways, really good book, really fun read. I think I'd recommend it before his Area X trilogy or his Southern Reach trilogy, Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance, of which apparently he's writing another book to that as well. He's writing like a lot now. I'm very excited for the Vandermeer renaissance that we're having, because he also wrote a YA novel, A Peculiar Peril, and he's writing a few other things. And he wrote what is it, Venus Underground, some other weird books as well. But one of his books, Hummingbird Salamander, um, is, I think it's getting an adaptation, and it's going to be made into a movie or something. And so yeah, and the that book sounds very interesting as well. So yeah, I lied. There's another book. I listen. This was a guilty pleasure book for me. I loved this book. um, However, TJ Klune, you need to explain yourself. No one talks about this book, and it's like pretty, like this is a new cover. This book has been out for a while, but it's recently been picked up. It was, I think, independently published, and now it's officially published by Tor. And I will be continue reading this book, but however, comma, 2 words, age gap. Why? Why was it there, TJ? Clune, Mr. Clune, why was that there? Why was that there? That wasn't needed. That wasn't needed. There's nothing with underage people, but but and I think it could have been the relationship between the main character and what's his name? Joe. It's the main character's Ox. The other character's Joe. I cried a few times here. One of my favorite parts in the book was when Ox has his found family after his dad leaves. I really like it when it's Ox and his friends and his family and becoming a pack leader, essentially. Um, but what I didn't like was the age gap. And Joe, like they're like, oh God, like it's a big age gap. And it's like I'm like no, like, nothing happens. It is an adult fiction. It does get spicy, very very spicy at the end, but by then, thankfully, thank God, I'm like, because I'm sure if he did this sooner in the book, his ass would have been so canceled, and this book would have been infamous. um uh and but this book, though, in here, though, thankfully they're older, they're in their 20s, and so it's like it's more okay, but it's still a big age gap. Me personally, I if it were me, if I were Ox, it would never happen. So yeah, and it's fantasy. There's werewolves. It's not, and for the most part, I just kind of brushed it off and kind of looked past it, but it would have made the book an easier read. Uh, it would have been easier to enjoy this book. Because there's so much to this book that I was like, first of all, it's like there's other guys Ox's age that could be the love interest, and yet the plot is that Joe is like infatuated with Ox, and it's weird. It's not anything like overtly sexual, because and I think this might be a bit of some shadow work to do with that I should look into, as to like physical intimacy between men and physical intimacy between boys, and reading that as overtly sexual. Like, that's a problem there that I think a lot of people need to work through, of like, you know, holding hands, hugging, kisses on the cheek don't have to be overtly romantic or sexual, you know. They can just be, but in the US, it's not, at least in the US, it's not viewed as that. But I really loved the relationships shown here. I wish the relationships that were in Wolfsong, the friendships and the bonds that the characters made with each other, I wish that was there in Babel. Because, to bring it back to Babel a little bit, is that Babel tried to be like dark academia, but what it needed also with that was interpersonal relationships, good interpersonal relationships, where here you do not get this. They grew close over time. Like, no, you see them get close over time. They become close over time, and you think like they truly love each other. All the good guys love each other, and you know, all that, you know, it's good. The whole family loves each other, and I was there was times where I got sad, and I'm ready for the next book, which I do have. I have Raven Song sitting on my desk, but I'm not in a fiction reading mood now. Um, but this was a fun read. Not terribly written. There are a bit of repetitiveness as like some like emotional anxiety written into it. There's angst in here as well. But and it's but I think if you read it for alone, if you read it, do not read this book. Do not listen to this book an audiobook. It's no, this is definitely a book you gotta like sit down and not necessarily pay attention to, because it is a quick read. It's not like you're it's not like something too heavily demanding. But I liked it. I liked it, and I think I think it helped. I think it helped scratch an itch that I had, because I'm gonna just say it here. I like werewolves. What can I say? What can I say? Yeah, I was Team Jacob, yes, but as an adult, I now realize that Edward was the less toxic one. Anyways, moving on. Moving on. So right now, books that I'm reading, that in my, I'm calling, right now with all the, like, any queer books that I read, I'm calling them the journey to trying to find some quality gay representation, you know, and I shouldn't say queer. That was a slip of of the tongue. I'm more specifically interested in looking for gay literature, and showing, you know, as that it's good. I think I found one, and that's what I'm reading right now. The Sorcerer of the Wild Deeps. I kind of wish I had a little bit more space because it's so short. I kind of want things to be doled out to me a little bit more with the world building and the some of the terminology here. It's a very like this is not an easy read. I will say that. Um, Compared to another book here, this is another book that I'm reading, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, and the world building here is perfectly paced out. But that being said, it's like it's three times. Let's be honest, it's like three times the size of of this book. But it's what I loved was one, the cover. I mean, smash. But but the concept, the idea behind it, I was like hearing, you know, Domain may have to master his wild powers and trade humanity for godhood if he has to keep his brothers and his beloved captain alive. So there, I was like, oh, wait a minute, the brotherhood, the captain, the relationships with each other, like, it's like I really wanted that. I really wanted to read that, and I'm getting that. I'm getting that. Like, you can see that they care for each other, that he cares for the for his brothers and all that. And they're not actual brothers. Like, they're in like a militia, not a militia. That's not the right word. A band of spearmen, essentially. It's yeah. So yeah. So he's like a demigod, and so is the captain. They're both demigods, and yeah, it's interesting. There's only been like one little moment, like a grope and a kiss, real quick. But it's and yeah, so I'm ready to see where this goes. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think I might pick up Kai Ashante Wilson's other book. What's it called? What's it called? I cannot remember his other book. Oh gosh, it doesn't say. It doesn't say the other book that he wrote. Um, oh gosh, what's it called? Something honey, honey and something with honey in the word, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, but yeah, this I want more. I want more Kai. Give me more. Like, give me some more. Pace it out a little more. It's because it is so short, and it's only 7 chapters. I was like, one of seven. I'm like, what does that mean? One of seven. And then I saw it. I was like, oh. I'm like, oh, okay. There's only 7 chapters, and I'm already on chapter 3. I'm like, where's this going? But anyways, but yeah, next that I was reading is that I'm reading is the fifth season because diversity, and I've heard good things about this book. It's always mentioned in the fantasy and sci-fi circles, and it's good. This is really good. I love the world that Jameson created here of earthquakes being powerful. Like the world building is just perfectly and seamlessly integrated into the story, and it doesn't get in the way the the characters. We're following 3 characters: a mother who is on like a path to vengeance and finding her daughter, um, a a young student. She is training to control her powers. All these characters that we're following, all have the power to control earthquakes and even temperature, thermal energy, something like that, kinetic energy, something along those lines, is what they're able to control. So like when an earthquake happens, like when they're in the area, it's like their presence like keeps the earth still in this like perfect circle around them. The only issue that I have with it is the what I always have with most fantasy stories, where it's people with incredible powers and superpowers and magical powers being somehow oppressed. Um, and she explains it, like usually it's like children like that are born into it, and they're usually hunted down and ostracized and from the towns and the cities and the cultures here because they're feared and all that. And yeah, there's to me it just doesn't. I think maybe because of like the weird idea of powers making someone more powerful, and it's like those without the power. I'm like it's weird. Something I need to look more into as to why I think that. But I'm like almost halfway through, if not I am halfway through, and it's really good. There's some drama in this book that I'm like, oh shit, with one of the main characters here that we're following along, the young student girl. What's her name? What is her name? It's not Cyanite. It's Damaya, right? Yeah, Damaya. What's also interesting is the perspective of the mother is written in the second person. So she's saying it Jameson is writing it as you go into this and you're reading, like that's how it's being read to you. You go, you find this thing, you see this, it's that you say da da da, because it's like, and there's a reason for it. It's really really good. I love it. It's a little bit of a jarring thing because I've never read anything written like that in that perspective, but it's working so far. I got used to it, and I'm ready to read the next book when I'm done with this one. If I get back to, and again, this is all like if I get back into the flow of get back into the reading fiction, because again, this is another book I was reading. To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara. She's the author of A Little Life. And usually what I do when I find a big author or a big, a creator that has made multiple different works, and they have their biggest hit, which is A Little Life, like TikTok and Instagram and Book Talk and Bookstagram really talk about A Little Life a lot. And I have A Little Life, but I wanted to start with something that wasn't as popular to get a gauge of how the author writes, and to not have the high expectations of these books to put onto Hanya Yanagihara's work. And so far I'm liking it so far. It takes place in an alternate United States. It's weird, like uh like there's gay marriage is legal in certain parts of the United States, and but the South is still very like it's not. And so the Western Union is like they talk about the Western Union in a weird way that I'm like it's not in a positive light. I don't know. I don't know. So we have like yeah, it's a weird map, and like it's again at a good pace so that it's doled out into like how the free states here where again gay marriage is legal, like our main character's family, it's like his older brother is married to a man, his older sister is married to a woman, and and they adopted, you know, a few kids themselves, and he's looking for our main character is looking for a man. He's interested in a man, and he's and that's the main plot of the first part is our main character uh, debating between this older man that is that is from new money and this artist musician guy that doesn't have a lot of that isn't very rich and doesn't have like his name doesn't really have that much recognition to it, not much reputation, and so it's a choice between the two. And to me, I'm like, why are you being so dumb? Go with the daddy, but that's just me. And like, there's some weird like, can he trust the twink that he's in love with? And I'm like, no, but that's just me. And I'm like, don't do it. Go with the daddy, because like I'm like, he describes him like in a very neutral light when he sees the older man like um in this, but he's like, but I really like that, and I'm like, no, that's infatuation, that's lust, that's cathexis. You're not really in love with this guy. He, you know, you have, you know, it's I don't know, it's interesting. I would like to hear uh what other gays think of think of this his dilemma and predicament in trying to find a husband. But that's only like the first part, like the first 14 chapters maybe, and then the second part takes place in 1993, and then the third part takes place in 2093 in this alternate America. So we'll see where this goes, and then I'll pick up A Little Life and read through that. But apparently that's very, very depressing, and so I don't know if she's gonna go depression road with this one as well, but we'll see. But yeah, that's what I'm reading right now, or well, was reading. We'll see if I can continue reading it. If not, oh well. So, but and I'll just yeah. I go through phases. I start with one thing, I focus on it for a long time, and then I stop, and then I continue with something else. And yeah. So yeah. Okay, so now into the books that are more on brand with my channel. Well, kind of. They're not very tarot focused, but they are touching on themes that run veins through the tarot, and I think touch on subjects that tie back to my work with tarot in ways that are quite significant. One thing that's kind of that's caught my attention is Gnosticism. So which and I'm forgetting one thing. So what I got was the Nag Hammadi scriptures, and I've been watching a lot of Esoterica and Foolish Fish videos. Esoterica has more in-depth stuff on Gnosticism, and yeah, there are a few other books, but this is the one that I have. That's the revised and updated translation of sacred Gnostic texts. So yeah, it's I haven't read it. It's a whole another thing to read. I mean, I haven't even fully read the Bible, so all I know is what's been like shared to me from verses and bits and parts of the lore on it. So whether I'd read this in tandem with it, but I don't know. It's sort of like the B-sides of the New Testament. I feel that might be inaccurate to say, but anyways, I got that. But one thing that goes with it, kind of, I should I should remove this bookmark. That's not gonna be uh YouTube friendly. So yeah, this is Iao by Jose Gabriel Alegria Sabogal. Uh this motherfucker needs to make a tarot deck now. Like now. But I don't think he will. He doesn't seem like he will. His vibes. I'm like maybe he won't. Because I mean, first of all, like his artwork is very like, I'm gonna show a few. There are some that are like very like, whoa, what am I looking at? Uh, you know, uh, but in the end, beautiful, gorgeous. Like, tell me this doesn't give the judgment vibe, like judgment vibes here, but what's being depicted here is something else. It means something else. You know, like let me see this one right here. Where is it? No, where is it? Where'd it go? There's this massive picture. Yeah, this right here. Gorgeous. And like reading Tarot of the Holy Light, reading that guidebook, this one here, uh, it it doesn't it ties into it, but not directly. It's they're very different. Not to say that like you need to read this to understand. No, 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 no. Like this is definitely an illustrated guide to Gnostic concepts and ideas, particularly Ophite Gnosticism, where is again serpent focused symbolism here, which again Tarot of the Holy Light does mention. So I'm like, I picked it up and I read a few parts in there and I'm like, okay. So there's a lot of illustrations here. And I think the most of what this is just, I'm a Jose Gabriel Alegria Sabogal stan now. And so slowly making my way through this book. Surprisingly not too hard to read compared to other books by Anathema publishing, like that are like, what am I reading? Well, no, I take that back. I'm like Dancing Sorcerer was not that hard to read compared to other books. It's not like Dion Fortune, Jesus Christ, what the hell, or even like an Aleister Crowley level of like writing where it's like they're trying too hard to sound smart. Except for this. This is Aurore by Gregory McCowry, who is the founder of Anathema Publishing. And reading through this, I was like, yeah, wild stuff going on in this book. It's how do I don't know. I will probably reread it a few times. I haven't read this part yet, the second half of the book. But this is like the main gist of it, and like everything that's in the other half is talking about the first half. I don't want to say anything that's gonna like devalue or reduce what this book is. I think Foolish Fish has a good video on it, and I think he does a better job of introducing this book than you, which I think he also wrote the introduction to it. Yeah, he wrote the preface, Denis Poisson, and also illustrated. Also mostly because it's Jose Gabriel Alegria Sabogal's. I just like to say his full name. It's his artwork, it's his illustrations, his drawings. Depicted here. Yeah. I hope I didn't just show that bookmark. We'll see. The next book that I've cracked it open. I've started reading it, but then I put it back down because it is just, this is one that's kind of difficult to read. And this is the Devil's Supper by Shani Oates, which I'm kind of approaching it as like here's a good book for the whole concept behind what makes the devil and how I can tie in all of this into that one major arcana card. There's several books out there that I'm like, oh, this book seems to just be focusing on, could be honestly just be a whole book on this major arcana card. And this is one of those. Well, the devil is probably one. There's a few other books on the devil and demons and all that. But this, I think, is taking a different approach on eating and food. So yeah, which we'll see. It's we'll see how it goes. We'll see what we get from it. So, now these are more those I've had for a while and I've sitting on my shelf. I'm not sure if I've shared those or not, but these are books that I picked up while because I'm doing a little one-on-one study session with Lady Knight of Avalon on the Tree of Life, the Hebrew letters, the Kabbalah, and all that. So I got another book by Gershom Sholem, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I could be wrong on that, sorry. But Major Trends in Jewish Mysticism, a book that's been always referenced and mentioned. So I'm like, let's add it to the list. You know, I haven't started reading it, but it's one that I get some good insights on, because he's a very relevant author for Kabbalah. And the next book that I got seems to be more. I'll probably read this book first, and this is Practical Kabbalah by Rabbi Leibel Wolf. A Guide to Jewish Wisdom for Everyday Life, and it's more, again, it describes the Sephiroth and some of the letters there and how we can work with them, and and all that. Which even, I mean, look at that, Hokmah, the magician's wand. I'm like, is he? I don't think so. What I would call original Kabbalah, traditional Kabbalah, true Kabbalah even, it really avoids the tarot just because of what Hermetic Kabbalah is. So these two are not focused on, like, they're not going to directly relate tarot back to it. Nothing like the 49 gates or the 49 gates of light, something like that. Let me see here. What's that book? Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's Mark Horn, I believe is his name. Let me get it. Yes, Mark Horn, this one. It's not like this, where this is more like traditional Kabbalah, which even, again, I feel like Tarot of the Holy Light ties back more into the correspondences and the ideas of traditional Kabbalah, more so than, say, a Dion Fortune or even Duquette's book on Hermetic Kabbalah. Those are again, that's Hermetic Golden Dawn Kabbalah. That is not, that is far, that is a bastardization of traditional Kabbalah. So going to this, I said to myself, what, it's my neighbor's truck is going off. I see him struggling with the key. There we go. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. So one of the things that me and my friend were kind of talking about is like, okay, what do these letters mean a step back from the tarot? Strip it away from the tarot. What do these letters mean? So it's like, other than like what they symbolically mean, where Aleph means bull or ox. And I'm like, okay, but like, what else is that? What else is there to work with? Why is that there? And we found two books that I think, honestly, if you are working with the Hebrew letters and your tarot, and you want to connect the Hebrew letters and use the symbolism of them and practice with them, there are no two better books than the Book of Letters by Lawrence Kushner. It's a very small book. It's very thin. It's honestly dare I say, it's a little white book. I think it's only 70, oh no, it's 70, I think it's 78 pages, like 76, 77, 78, 70, no, it's 80. Yeah, it's a very short book. And it's for each, and it goes through each of the 22 letters, And so we're working, me and Lady Knight of Avalon are working backwards from these books, from the letters, starting with Tove and working upwards to Aleph. And so, but this isn't there's some things in there that you can get from these meanings, but for a more practical approach, I picked up this book here, A New Oracle of Kabbalah, Mystical Teachings of the Hebrew Letters by Richard Seidman. And this right here I think is really good. This, again, this works off of this. Like, this is referenced a lot in this. Like you can see the two there, and I'm really liking this, and it's really changing my approach to how I view the letters and how I would integrate them into the tarot, rather than the simple shoehorning of Aleph to the Fool and downwards it goes to alphabetically, whereas there's more thought put into it in traditional Kabbalah, where where they go on the paths and how these letters connect the different Sephirot. So yeah, just the meanings of the letters alone is really what I'm enjoying, stripped away from, like, it's associated to this astrology sign and to this planet and to this card. I want to step away from all of that. I want pure, pure, untainted, like, meaning of the letters, and I found that here. The next book that I got is this is the newest publication, and I'm sad that it got a little damaged, but it still works and I'm fine with it. And that is The I Ching Oracle by Benabal Wen. And I mostly got this to see what differences would be between this and her course. And I'm going to say, I think you could get, I think her course is wonderful for getting a good handle on casting a hexagram, and the PDF for her translation is very, very handy, and I think is much more convenient than lugging around this giant book here, because again, this is essentially her translation right here, these dark pages, and the rest here is all about the background on the I Ching, which you'll see here. I think you're gonna get history and all that with the I Ching. And honestly, the I Ching, I think, is, how do I describe it? I don't want to. No, I don't want to do it. But it's a form of divination that I have great respect for, as and honestly, really does show that there's something more to this, compared to tarot, and it's much older as well, and it's the I Ching and astrology are two very, like, massively, like, historically, like, integral forms of divination. I haven't read through the whole introduction. I think if anything, what I'm gonna get the most use out of is all of this first half, probably, to see. I'll do a separate video and see what the difference really, whether you should to compare the course that Benabal Wen made and did versus this book, and whether what one should get. I recommend you get the course if you because it's really easy to follow, and it's much more streamlined, I feel. But this, I think, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when I read through this and what I get from this, and see how I like it, and whether we'll see. I haven't read through it, but I will say, if you do have her I Ching course, and you do have the PDF book printed out of her Book of Changes, you get something different here. Like, the translation is roughly, I think, is mostly the same, but you get more with that PDF. I'm not gonna say what, but I do like the PDF. The not the PDF, the yeah, her translation of just the Book of Changes itself, without all this other stuff in here. But as typical with Benevolent, you never get anything. You will not be left wanting. She leaves no stone unturned, and I can't wait to read through it, because Holistic Tarot was also very in depth. Well, no, not in depth, just more like it covers everything, and you're gonna get a good grasp on everything that has to do with tarot, everything. So when I also got the I Ching, that Bella Bowen's book on the I Ching, I also got which I was very upset. This also arrived damaged, I think, but different orders. So I had to tape it. I tried to do as good a job taping it, but yeah, the three books of occult philosophy by Agrippa, translated by Eric Purdue. There's several different. Two other translations. There's a one by Llewellyn. I don't know. I think his name is Tyson that translated it. And there's one by Black Letter Press. And the Black Letter Press three books of occult philosophy are like, I think they're like roughly like maybe like this size. They're like a quarter of the size of these. But these aren't really big books. It's just that it's three, and they're really big. But what you're reading here really isn't that much. I thought it would be way more, like a dense wall of text, but the chapters are relatively short. And so yeah, it's interesting how what this is. But this was like, in terms of correspondences and references, that is always, it's one of those books that I think is integral to magic and the world of tarot and its correspondences, I think, and how it ties into it somehow. And so yeah, another book that I'll slowly read through, hopefully faster, because again, reading like through some of it, I was like, oh, okay, I can handle this, again, like it's I'm surprised at how not hard it is to read. I'm gonna come across some parts and some things in there that I'm like, oh, what is he saying? I'm so far, from what little I've read of it, I'm liking it. I'm liking it, and I'm excited to read it. And I think I'm gonna go into it now that I finished reading Terror of the Holy Light, because she also mentions, she's like, you can do your own correspondences. Just pick up. She really just says this. Just pick up a copy of Agrippa, and start read through that, and make your own correspondences, your own ideas as to what, how things correspond to each other magically, and do that for your tarot. And I'm like, okay, yes, I will. Something like that. But anyways, moving on to the next thing. Okay, so this is now for what y'all girlies, for all the tarot girlies. This is what y'all are really here for. I just know it, because now we're here for the tarot stuff and the oracles. There's mostly tarots. Yeah, it's mostly tarot. And so we have here some decks that I'm going to say, I don't want to say Natalia made me do it, but I'm going to say Natalia made me do it. She convinced me. She's like, you got to do it. They're so nice. And they are. The production quality on these decks are so good. Like, yeah, these are the large Kickstarter. I'm going to say the special edition. I don't think these are the Kickstarter editions themselves. I think those might be a little different. But I do know that they're not the small box standard size that you get in traditional Los Carabeo decks that they do. But I will say I have mixed feelings on these. Because one, I am not a fan of Fabio Listrani. I think his art looks, or images, yeah, art. I'm like, let's not put some disrespect. I mean, I can't do this, but I feel like his CGI depictions of his CGI depictions and drawings and art are very unfinished when it comes to CGI art. They lack texture in ways that if you see other computer generated images in three-dimensional computer generated images that are not as bad, that are much more well done and well made. But that's not the point here. The point here is what's being depicted here. Honestly, something that's like, you can't look at these and say, oh, like unoriginal. Like, no, like this is crazy. Like, this is some shit that, like I said, I've never seen before, and I love how different these are, how powerful these images are. And that goes for both the Notoria and the Goetia decks that he made. Both very, 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 like, intimidating. Um, I don't have much knowledge on it. I mean, one big question that I have is, what is the difference between the Notoria and the Shemha Mefarash? It seems that they're kind of the same. Like, there's similarities, but I know that there's some differences. Like, I mean, they're called different things, but I think, again, I believe the Shemha Mefarash comes first and then the Notoria. It's something I haven't looked into yet, and something that I'm gonna have to take my time with. This is much like Terror of the Holy Light. Like, I got Terror of the Holy Light back in 2016, and only now that I finished the book and finally, like, settled down and sat down and read through the damn thing and got a grasp of how that system works. We'll see with this one. There's changes here. I read a bit of Damien Eccles' Angels and Archangels, and he kind of goes into the Shem angels as well. And there's differences between the astrological correspondences with the different Shem angels and the angels here, as to where they go and what cards would be related to them. And that's another thing. Just because there's 72 doesn't necessarily mean you have to shoehorn in these into 78 of the cards. This is one criticism that I have of this, because this is in this. These are in here. They're there, just not in the way that you think they are. Like they're corresponded to each. Like two are given each to the 36 Decanic Minor Arcana cards. Because there's 72, 36 times 2 is 72, so that's how that works. So yeah, that's what that is. Oh, my parents are home, so I'm gonna have to go help them right now. So let me go do that right now. Okay, the lighting looks way different now than when I started recording, because it's now dark. It is 5:30 and the sun is gone. The sun is not here. And yeah, and honestly, I forgot what I was talking about here. Something about the Notoria, the Shem, the differences, reading Damien Eccles' book on Angels and Archangels, the Goetia, what the Goetia is, and right, essentially the tarot is it's all in there. So something like this really isn't needed. And if I were to do something like this, I would remove this. I would remove that. I'd remove that. I wouldn't put this in there. I wouldn't put that. Well, maybe I would do this, like that. That way we would have an idea of going into the Sephiroth and the element, or what world they're in. This would be like Hesed of Bria, or Yetzer, however one. There's something with the water and air being switched around sometimes. So yeah, the Goetia is really cool too. It's horrifying the depictions of these spirits here. Uh, so yeah, which with that I got a book as well. Let me go get it. So this is Stellas Daemonum, Orders of the Daemons by David Cowhurst, which is essentially like the in-depth view on like of these spirits of the Goetia. At least I don't think there's something like this for the Notoria or the Shem angels. So there we go. So yeah, so like again, I don't want the tarot to taint these beings or these entities. I want them purely as they are. I would probably work with the angels more, um, uh, just out of probably still some religious trauma, probably that is still lingering there to work with these, even though I know that these aren't demons like as we would think of them as in the Christian tradition, but they're, I believe Crowley describes them as parts of the mind, and so yeah, they're more in line with shadow work, and it's work that I'm not necessarily ready to go into. Uh, so yeah, I wish I had nicer bags for them too, but these are the only bags that I have that fit them because they're so big. Like I'm blushing, like you know, like and they barely fit them too. Like hello, like hello, help me. And I feel like, well, I don't know. There's something about the simplicity of these velvet bags that helps. But it's so dark. It is so dark. You can barely see what's going on here. Let me get a background for this. Let me get a cloth so we can easily see what's going on here. Oh right, and as I was looking for them, they come with a lot. You get coins, like I guess you could consecrate them and use them as talismans. I think I have them in here. But there's a bunch of other coins in here of other stuff in there. Uh, uh, but they also come with these velvety cloths here. This one I believe is for the Notoria. Yeah, it's not gonna fit in the camera, but it's still pretty cool. I haven't used them. Again, it's very much for the ceremonial magic work. But you get a lot. You're getting a lot with this stuff. You're not just getting a deck and guidebooks. You're getting a deck, a cloth, coins, a good box that they all fit in. So yeah, but either way, I might move them along. I'm looking for a specific cloth, and I don't know where I put it because this is too dark. She's too dark. Let me keep looking here. Now, this deck that I have here has a bit of some drama going on with it, and it's the Surfer's Paradise Tarot. This I'm unsure of how I feel about it. It's a cool deck, but the book has an excerpt of an essay on here that he had no right to publishing. He didn't get no consent from it. It's so so he's going through some stuff with that. Which so when I got the deck and the book, I was surprised I even got them. Because I backed it on Kickstarter, and so yeah, and I did a walkthrough of this deck, but I was like, so I'm of two minds of it. The production quality on it is really good. The cardstock's really nice. The box is really cool. The book is very I haven't read the book. I know some people missed that, so I did that. I know some people, you know, what was I gonna say? Right. Anyways, I haven't read the book, but it is a Thoth tarot, and some of the cards, like yeah, some of them are pretty traditional. Some of them not, and just because of that essay being in there, I just feel weird about it. I just don't feel like I should. I'll probably still work with the deck, try to at least, and yeah, it's the book. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about that. Something weird like about that. So yeah. Okay, so these next I have this like all weird now because of this spread cloth that I put here. That box is like all up in the way. You're gonna see live footage of me trying to adjust here. Much better. The next deck, these next decks have books with them. Really good guidebooks. Ooh, I'm missing one, but I'll get it. It's not, everything's like all taken out. I'm like, I gotta go through this. So this is my most recent tarot purchase that I got from my local New Age shop. I said, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to support. I would like to support local. I did, and yeah, I liked it. I liked the experience. Which then reminds me that I also forgot to mention this book that I got as well, Tarot Talismans, by Chick. How do you say his name? And Sandra Cicero. And so maybe I'll use this with the Notoria or the Shem somehow. We'll see. We'll see what I do with that. But I got that with this, and I put it in. Of course, I was like, I know the perfect bag that's gonna fit this one. I mean, it's in the title, Secrets of the Rose Tarot, by Nigel Jackson, and yeah, I love this deck. Well, image-wise at least, aesthetically, um, and yeah. I don't know if you can hear my mom in the background. Uh, but anyways, this led me to like to realize and make connections. But like, oh, Nigel Jackson did quite a few other decks as well. He has one called the Nigel Jackson Tarot. I think it was also titled something else, like the Aquarian. No, I have no idea. The new something new something tarot. The New Age. No. I don't know. I don't know. But he also did the Rumi Tarot. And so I'm like, ooh, maybe. But I'm gonna start with this. This seems very much like an alchemical, like in vein with the sevenfold mystery. Yeah, the alchemical tarot, tarot of the holy light. It seems in line with all of those, with mystical Christian imagery, with alchemy tied into it, with astrological stuff. So I'm like, well, I'll probably look into this and do some readings with this. Maybe try it out. We'll see. We'll see. I'm allured by it. Um, so yeah, then the next one. This is a deck that I got from Kickstarter. I put it in this bag. I used to have my Tarot of the Hidden Realm in here, but the colors just match with it. I feel a little more. So yeah, that's how I do my bags. I'm like, if the color palette matches, I'm gonna put it in that bag. And this is called I believe it's called the Maze Tarot. It came with two decks, the Maze Tarot and the Labyrinth Tarot. And this is the complete official tarot by this artist. I have the book here with me. Yeah, the Maze Tarot by Florence Magnin. She's a French artist. So I'm sorry if I butchered the name. Someone's gonna be like, it's pronounced this. So this was originally published as the Amber Tarot, which was based on a series of books by, oh, the guy's last name starts with a Z. I see when I my Barnes and Noble, I see the complete collection of the complete series in an omnibus, in a paperback omnibus there um, at my local Barnes and Noble. But it's called the Books of Amber or something like that. And I saw this on Kickstarter, and I was like, oh, this looks rather interesting. And I learned that it was based on, or like it was, I can't remember how I came to make the connection of that. I never read the books. I would, I might read it right now. The big series that I'm tackling, other than the books that I'm reading as well, is The Wizard of Earthsea and A Wheel of Time, The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. So those are the books that I'm focusing on right now. So I'm not gonna pick up another big series for a while. So yeah, uh, the next deck book set that I got is this one here. I put it in this bag because I'm like, again, it matches color wise. It matches aesthetically. It matches. It's dark. This is the Ars Goetia. Listen, I'm not a big fan of backs with the title of the deck on it. I much prefer something more. I don't like a title on my back. But there's more to this deck. First of all, it's again much like the Goetia deck. It has from that Lestrani did. It has very interesting depictions of the 72 Goetia. I really love the art here, uh, and it's. I backed it on Kickstarter, but little did I know that the publisher, the owner of the publishing company that made this deck, he is of a political leaning that I'm not a big fan of. He's very right wing and very manosphere ish, and yeah, I'm like yeah, he didn't really have any direct influence in creating the art or anything. So I'm like being able to separate him from this. He's just a publisher. He's like writer to the Rider Waite Smith. He helped bring this deck to life, but it's not so influential that that I'm like ooh, because I'm not sure if the artist shares the same views as he does, and so I'm not sure. I shouldn't be talking about it like this close in the Bible. I should be talking about it like this. I'm not sure if the artist, Jim Pavlik, is that his name? I can't remember. Right? I have the book here. What am I doing? Yeah, Jim Pavlik. The publisher is Hexen Hammer. Uh, and so yeah, I had a very sour interaction with him. And yeah, the guidebook as on appearances it looks pretty good. But when you open it up, this is your table of contents. Very unhelpful. I don't think there's an index. No. And so you're just left to, there's no page numbers. So everything is like just like that to 72, and it's like, well, and it's just like 4 to 151, and it's like, come on, like really, we're supposed to go through like over 140 pages to find the spirit that we're looking for, like. And I get it, like you can see it's in numerical order, like obviously you don't need it that, but I mean, listen, when you're flipping through a book like this, trying to find it quickly, guess what you're looking at? You're looking at the numbers. The numerical number, you have to open it all the way to see that. Just out of convenience and simplicity and ease of finding something, flipping through it like this, you're going to see the page number faster. You get good full colored images, as you've seen as I flip through it. So yeah, and the paper quality is good. In terms of writing, I've only read a few parts and bits here, but again, it's reading up on the Goetia is a whole another task in and of itself, much like the tarot. So yeah, there's yeah, I have mixed feelings on it, but I don't want to get rid of it because I think these are really cool depictions of these deities, beings, spirits, whatever you will call them, of the Goetia. Um, so yeah, I'm really paranoid that you guys can hear what's being said in the background, but I'm filming and I'm in the mood to film and I want to film, so I will continue filming. Let's see. So moving on. Next we have, this was a deck. These next two, well, yeah, this next one was a deck that my friend Lady Knight of Avalon helped me get my hands on, and I have it in this bag. I used to have my Real Sky Astrology deck in here, but now it fits in this one because the colors match in this one. This is the Rorig Tarot, I believe that's how you pronounce the name. Very interesting to, oh right, it's upside down. I kind of want to trim it because of just how much of those borders are just, they're unneeded, because you see the chariot right there. Like, you don't need that. You don't need all this here, but I think it's like the Thoth does the same kind of theme with the title and the faded word in the back. So yeah, a lot of the decks from Germany look like this. So there is nudity, heads up. So yeah, and yeah. I don't know what else to say. Other than it's like a huge deck. It's very beautiful. And I haven't been able to work with it just because it's so huge. Which hasn't, trust, size hasn't deterred me in the past, but you know, it's just, yeah. And also it's like, it's a kind of a new system. It's Thoth, but not, but yeah, it's its own take on Thoth. It's a whole thing. And I have the book. I have the full-size book with it, but I'm like, Lady Knight has to help me with what, you know, is being talked about in the book and how to approach this deck here. So yeah. The next deck that I got, which is in line with my deep dive into the Decans, is a Wheel of Small Gods. Now, this is, it talks about using these cards as talismans and the deck, and working with the Decans with these cards, and using the art and the poetry by Brian Wilkins to help heal. Now, I'm not one to buy into the metaphysical and spiritual as a source of healing when, you know, medical science has helped us, you know, far more and all that. But I think there is something to using it as like a background help with the help of doctors and all that, you know, like take the right medicines, but also have the spiritual takes on it, which I believe they talk about it in the book. I started reading it. I read through most of it. Not through most of it. I mean, the main gist of it, the thick of it, is its introduction. Because the rest of it is the imagery and the cards, and it's a poem for each decan. And you get a night and day. So you have 72 as well. Again, you have 72 of these as well. So each one, two of these goes to each card. So like, I believe the 1 and 2, there's two, like let's say here, the 3, this is the third decan of Leo. This would go for the, there's another one that's like that's in black, that's that goes with it, and it's those two would go with the, I believe, the 7 of Wands, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because the Golden Dawn goes 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7. Yeah. For the tarot cards, it'd be the 7 of Wands. So yeah, which, I mean, we can do this all day. Come break your teeth on our bones, and that's very 7 of Wands vibe. I wish I could find. Let me see if I can find the third Leo. There, here it is. Yeah, it's right here. Come fear, come fate, come and face us, cowards. We're waiting, carrying blood in our veins. Yeah, it's such the poetry. I'm like, I'm not well versed in poetry. I don't have the appreciation for it, but they really know how to set the tone and the vibe that matches up with the Decans. So this and the 36 Faces and 36 Secrets were books that I've been kind of like that I've been going through and all that, and looking at Terror of the Holy Light as different planetary rulership systems for the Decans is it's really interesting to see, and how they inform the depictions on the tarot. So yeah, which reminds me, I'm really excited for Mel Maline's deck, tarot deck that she's working on with the Decans as well. So yeah. So next we have let's see. I don't know why I have this deck here. That doesn't come with a book. This is let's go through this one right here. This one's a little one right here. This is the majors only. This is also my friend Lady and I helped me with like this with the Rorig, and I believe Ananda Tarot. I think that's what it's called. I have it. I didn't pull it out. There's already so many decks here, but this majors only also very interesting, since it's kind of like what I'm doing with kind of like the idea of going back to the correspondences and learning them. So here the magician is given the sun. High priestess. Oh no, yeah, the high priestess is still the moon. The empress is given Virgo, and the emperor Jupiter, which is what Terror of the Holy Light does. And I have a sneaking feeling that Jupiter would also be given to the Marielle tarot. The Marielle correspondences, I'm kind of in a new way of like viewing it. Kind of, yeah. Here we have Hierophant. It almost looks like Hieronymus Bosch there. I love it. And then we have the lovers here with Mercury, which is interesting. I mean, Gemini is given to the lovers in the Golden Dawn, so Mercury as this, it kind of makes sense. It's funny how that lines up there. And then here we have the Chariot with Sagittarius. A little weird. I feel like the depiction messes with the meaning of Sagittarius as well as the meaning of the tarot card itself. So yeah, here we have Strength or Lust as Leo. That kind of stayed the same. So yeah, and Scorpio still with Death. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, really beautiful deck. So yeah, which isn't so difficult to come by in Germany compared to the U.S. So yeah, and of course it comes in that plasticky case that they used to have decks in. My Via Tarot came in this, as well as what other deck? I don't know. I got rid of the cases, but I have it in here. I think it deserves a bag, but I'll find one. I'll see if I can find one that fits it. So this here is one of the last deck and book sets that I got. This was the first edition. I don't know if I showed this. No, I didn't. This is the Mike Wilcox Tarot and Oracle. I followed Mike Wilcox because I first saw a few images of his tarot floating around on Instagram, and so I followed him on Instagram. This is definitely a unique take on on cartomancy. It's not a tarot. Well, it is. It has the major arcana. But it also has it has the 22 major arcanas, and it also has 12 of the zodiacal signs. So here we have Gemini, but we also have these oracle cards here you see we have Hurricane. And so there's a total of, I believe we're in the 50 some cards. Oh gosh, it doesn't say. Okay, yeah, 55, I believe, right? Yeah, 55 cards, because I believe he views the butterfly card as like an extra card or something. But yeah, 55 cards, so it's not your 78. People, when this was first advertised, it was also very unclear whether it would be a full 78. We weren't really clear as to how many cards we were getting. But this is a really cool deck, just visually. And look at that Justice, like, hello. And then the Empress. So unique. This is definitely Mike Wilcox's approach to the tarot, his view on these cards, like again the Grail, or the cup and the fish and the coral here, the like the stars within the robe. Like there's a reason why he put those there. This dancing, very simple looking death here, and how he's not. It's titillating. Like there's a reason why he made it like this. I love this card, the Fountain. Yeah. So yeah, and that's what the book goes into. And the book, this is the first edition, comes with this hardcover. And the cards come with extra spaces here as well. The journal, like with notes that you can write on here for each card. But I feel like I wouldn't want to write in this book because it's so well produced. I believe it is sewn, bound, I believe, unless it's just glue, which, Mike, come on, let's do a little better than that. I can't really see because the binding is so tight. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think sometimes you can see where it, yeah, I think it is sewn, bound, but yeah, really cool. I think this edition that I have is the only one that's gonna have like the hardcover. What's his name? Masculine divine into. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. What is his name? Masculine intuition readings. That's his name. He has a few decks out. He made, and I like to hear his insight on the tarot and decks and all that. Look at that Emperor. Come on, it's really, it's so simple yet refreshing, you know, to see in a deck. So this, I don't know how I would approach this because it's not an oracle. Well, it's an oracle and a tarot, but it's not a tarot as I like to see it. But yeah, and yeah. So yeah, I came in a nice bigger box, but I got rid of the box. I put it in the recycle, and I just kept the book and the deck in its box. So yeah, I might find a bag when this box is all tattered and worn. But yeah, we're almost at the end. So this is another Kickstarter deck, and this is prepare your eyes, brace your eyes, like lower the brightness on your screens because this is whoa. This is a tarot deck called the Eldritch Overload, and this is the book it comes with. Okay, thank God, the shine isn't too bad, but it is. But the cards are like this. Very bold of them to put the tower as their guidebook, but this is the guidebook, and the guidebook is very informative. I love the formatting on it. It's a very modern, it's very contemporary, but the deck is also designed to work with as with D&D, a role playing game as well. It's because this is a book that's also a what is it? What's the proper term for it? Oh God. Okay, so they have okay. Yeah, it's a 5e game. I'm like it's not Dungeons and Dragons. I believe it's called a 5e, something like that. Um, and then so yeah, but reading through the book though, it's not something to like. It's not something to like be like, they don't. No, no, no. Like this is actually quite it describes the depictions on the cards. It's and it's a good book. It's a good book, and it shows. Uh, what am I saying? Where am I going with that? But here's the cards. Here's the actual cards. It also came with dice and I think a sticker as well, and some other stuff as the stretch goals with Kickstarter. Look at that. Look at the backs. Look at the backs. Take it in. Take it in for a minute. Yeah, very, very cool. And it comes with a little booklet, and then that's the inside. Uh, so yeah, very bright, very colorful, very modern. It's very cyberpunk, uh, you know, and uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely one that you would take to, like, a rave or a circuit party even. But I will say, shuffling through it, warning. I don't know if it still does it. Yeah, I think I still see some flakes coming off. Yeah, and I riffle shuffle. People, do not tell me not to riffle shuffle your decks. I will, but the glittery details are being worn out. Like, it was really bad. That wasn't so bad compared to other times when I shuffled this deck, but yeah, look, and of course the strength with a tiger. I mean, hello. Yeah, really cool production. Like, look at the sides. Like, that's really, it's cool. It's definitely for a tarot of today, and the future maybe, and blending a blend of gaming and tarot, which tarot is and was originally a game, and so now we're getting this a tarot here, as being integrated to how we play games again. It's coming back. It's coming back to its gaming or origins. Which reminds me that I also have this. I don't think I've shared this on my channel. If I have, oh well, you're gonna hear me talk about it again. This is the Sephiroth. I got the tarot game illustrated by Viv Tanner and Elliot Baum, and produced by Kausa Creations. And they did this with the intention of making it a solitaire game. And look at the gold. Look at the gold. This is smart gold detailing, not just a solid wall of gold, but certain parts of the card are gold. Only certain things are gold. Like, you got things to bring your attention to, you know. Sorry for the glare for the camera, but yeah, here's the magician. Beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. Like, and the depiction of the three different lovers cards. I love I love the lovers cards in this deck, like all three of them. Like, and they're depicted in ways that I want to keep all three and work with all three in the deck. Like, this, I feel like if I were to remove the other two cards, I would keep this one in here. Um, but yeah, it's beautiful. It's so perfect, and like there's like you see the Golden Dawnness in it, but the minors are Pippish, just so that for ease of looking at, because the point is that you're supposed to play it as a solitaire. No, it's like 1 to 2 player games. There's one version that you can play by yourself, and there's another version that you can play with someone else. And the set, you can buy the box set as the board game with much smaller cards. So like around this size. No, probably around, like, I don't know. They're like a mini Rider-Waite Smith size, kind of. I'm not gonna get it because it's so big. There's a lot. um, and yeah, it's currently gonna be re-released in mass market by Hay House, I believe, or Blue Angel, one of those two. I'm like, I confused. They're the same bitches to me. Like, they're not, but to me they're the same. And yeah, I'm like, but it's the problem with that is that it's selling it as a tarot deck for divination and not as a deck for not only divination but also gameplay. Um, so yeah, I've only like yeah, it's yeah, yeah. There's yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's more to say, but yeah. The box left a little bit to be desired. You know, I can't open it all the way. But I can still get the cards out, and it looks nice. It looks nice either way. So yeah, yeah. If I didn't, then there it is. So another deck that I got from I bought it from, oh my gosh, what's his name? Blood Flame Tarot, I think was his name. I think he changes his name quite a bit. But yeah, from that handsome guy, I got the Daniloff Tarot, and a few other decks as well. Was it just two? Was it either two or three? I can't remember. But I got this, the Alexander Daniloff, which I've been wanting this deck for so long, and I was like, finally, I can get it. But I would also like his some of his majors only decks as well, just because it's like the artwork is gorgeous. I haven't read with this. Like take that with all the other decks that I show. I haven't read with any of them. Because I haven't had the time. I haven't been doing readings. Yeah, I haven't had the ability to. It's just, yeah, the opportunity never shows itself, and I never go out and make the opportunity to do that. So yeah, the tuck box, really nice. So yeah, we're almost on to 2 hours with this bitch. You guys better strap in. We're almost done. I was like, should I go live? I'm like, I don't want to go live. I want to record a video. I just want to record it. So yeah, the next deck is one that I really wanted, just because I like this artist. I like her work. Elisa Seitzinger. Sorry if I butchered that, but it is the Symbolic Soul Tarot, published by Los Carabeo. And the box is I like how simple the box is. You don't get any like advertisement as to like what the cards are gonna look like. Like it's very simple. And she also illustrated the Tarot of the Hidden Star, a French deck, with Sabbath magazine. But this is her Rider-Waite Smith rendition. And I'm not a big fan of the cats being in the cup suit. I'm like, I wish. What I liked about her art is that it wasn't really. What I liked about her other deck was that it wasn't so conforming like that. Like all the cat people are in the cup suit, and that's the thing. They kind of stand out like a sore thumb like that. But anyways, other than that, like her art always just so crazy. Like here's the 10. Like look at that conjoined twins for the 10 of Cups. The High Priestess, just so and then here we have the 6 of Swords. Again, you're getting something unique here, and with the gold as well. I don't know if I can show the gold. The glare is too bad here. But yeah, I love her work, and I would hope she makes a few other decks. I would like to see her work in color. I've seen some pieces that she's done in color on Instagram. Oh, this cardstock though, it's very firm, very stiff cardstock. But it shuffles nicely. It shuffles real good. That's nice. That's nice. That's really nice. I might edge it black, but I feel like it matches with the black and white theme of it. I might edge it gold, but I don't want to damage the cards. Look at the Magician. Look at the King of Pentacles. I love her kings. Her court cards are really cool. So yeah. So yeah, that was like the last mass market deck that I bought. The rest have all been like Kickstarters or indie projects. Which also another deck that I got with the Danilov, which I need the book for, or I don't know. I feel like it's intuitive enough that I can write my own guidebook for it and kind of work with it myself. Is this one, the Tarot de Marseille of the New Incarnation by Eugene Vinitsky and Elsa Capat, no, Cap, Capatan, nope, nope, nope. Nope. I'm sorry. Someone comment down below how to pronounce that. Um, yeah, I would love to, like, you get your majors and your court cards are the same, but your minor arcana are, yes, 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 yes. Like, it's not Rider Waite Smith. It's not Rider Waite Smith. I love it because you see, there was another deck of like, ooh, this Marseille deck, which was kind of like this, like the court cards and the major arcana were Marseille, but the woodblock style, it was just Rider Waite Smith imagery in the woodblock style. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want some. Give me something new. I'm like, if I wanted Rider Waite Smith, I go for the Rider Waite Smith. And Marseille is just, yeah, I mean, like, come on, like, look at that, the Three of Cups. It's like, it's in direct opposition. The Three of Coins, sorry, did I say cups? You see, it's in direct opposition to what we would classically view as that. It's as like water and fish, that has to be cups. No, no, no. It's about fishing and the fish that you get and all that. And here's the Three of Cups with like a child seeing a doctor, healing, and that you have the Five of Swords, David and Goliath. So I feel like, yeah, if there was if the Marseille was fully illustrated, or if they made a tarot fully illustrated with divinatory imagery, it would look like this. And Eugene Vinitsky is known for the Venetian tarot, I believe, and the Madhouse tarot. He makes a lot of tarot decks, and they've all been quite, other than the Venetian looks nice, but just, again, I just haven't felt interested in them, you know. But his other decks have just been lacking for me, you know. Uh, but the Vinitsky, what am I saying? The but this one I'm really excited about. He did a Latin themed one, and I'm not happy about that. It's just because of cultural appropriation things, and uh yeah, I'm not a fan of that one, but I like this. More of this, please. Yeah, the next deck I got, these are all, nope, this one wasn't a Kickstarter. I was like, the rest are all Kickstarter. No, 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 no. This one was, because I've been playing Elden Ring, uh and so this is a tarot deck based on the characters in Elden Ring, or the themes in Elden Ring, and it's definitely a fan deck. It's not it's thought out well, enough, but yeah, there's I think a little bit more would have helped, you know. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. You know. uh it's not as well thought out as I wanted it to be. Like the cups being, these are like, these are beings. These are like living people. These are characters. I think some of them are enemies. There's one that helps you, that you can help. And then here we have the Hermit as Patches. He's been in other games that this company produced, that this video game company produced that made Elden Ring. But yeah, and then here we have the star. It makes sense that he's in there, well, kind of, because he literally like stopped the movement of the stars for some reason. There's like tons of lore to it, and so Yeah, I would like to see a Bloodborne one and a Dark Souls tarot. Well, there is a Dark Souls tarot, but I think it's a majors only. But I would like to see those games as well represented in this. And this is, again, beautifully packaged. And yeah, I was like, I saw the pre-order. I was like, I'm gonna get it. I'm getting it. So yeah, the next decks are all now. The next decks are they're all Kickstarter decks. I think this one might not. Yeah, I got this from Kickstarter backing the Lenormand that she did. Um, and so this is the oh gosh, what's it called? I can't remember. The L'Essai de l'Âme. No, whoever knows French, please tell me. Which I believe she's based in Hong Kong. Yeah, a Hong Kong artist. Charlotte Mui. And this is an 86 card deck. I believe there's extra court cards, and it's beautiful. It's colorful. It's lovely. Yeah, there's we have the page, the knight, the witch, the queen, the king, and the guardian. So you get quite a few extra cards in here, edged in this nice gold, and the backs are gorgeous. It's beautiful, beautiful. What can I say? Beautiful. I think yeah, it's on order because I planned on doing a walkthrough of it, but I don't have the patience for it. Look at this King of Pentacles. I'm coming to find that I love a good King of Pentacles. Um, so yeah, the minor arcana, here's the Two of Cups. The only thing that's like interesting is like they don't have arms, which I think is a choice. Uh, I don't mind, but I don't know. With the Rider-Waite Smith, it's kind of like, what are we doing? Kind of. This is my only critique of this deck that I have. So yeah, and it shuffles really good too. Really well done. Really well done. It comes with a little booklet that doesn't fit in the box. So yeah, I believe there's still a few copies available. I'm not sure. But she did say like she's not gonna print anymore. I don't know if maybe she'll send it to a publisher, get it published. I don't know. I don't know. Let me drink some water. Okay, so I don't know which one to go for next. I'm gonna do this one. This one I think was the newest, it's the oldest that I got. This is the Rain Shadow Tarot by icon legend moment. Well, no, not moment. She's here to stay. Claire Mack. She to me she's the queen of collage decks. I quite like her. I should say I love her Illuminated Earth Oracle, and I wish this deck followed in that aesthetic a little more. The cardstock is amazing. That same type of like matte metallic edging is on here. I wish she kind of went with that a little more rather than like say like a Touchstone Tarot or the Golden Tarot by Cat Black with these collage type art that she did here. Um, because here it's definitely like you can see like, oh, it's collage, you know. Uh, but this one, but it's still beautiful. I think maybe because it's like it's its own deck, but it rhymes with it. She has really cool. Yeah, I really like her mages are gorgeous. I wanted more of this type of art throughout it. The moon is gorgeous. There's the emperor, like just yeah, and then the minor arcana are, and then here's the wheel. I really love the devil in this one. It's a crazy card. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But please let me find it. Yeah, here's the devil. I don't know. There's something about this devil card that's just it's simple. And it just it's creepy. It's simple. You know what it is, and it's ah I love it. And again, the hermit. Here's the star. Like I love those. am I about to make this a majors only? No, I wouldn't do that. I would never do that. I would never do that. Because yeah. Anyways, yeah, I loved this. I just wish that she was able to make, or she has, I think. I'm not sure. I just wish she was able to I was able to combine the faceted garden with the illuminated earth oracle together. But yeah. You know what? I would like to see her do an I Ching deck. I was thinking about that because I have the visionary I Ching, and I was thinking that her illuminated earth I think is like, I think it's 63 cards or it is 64 cards. I think it's 63. It's like one card off of being like the number of I Ching hexagrams. Um, so yeah, and I think they're the same. I think it's the same people that printed this. Might have printed this deck as well. Might have made it. I don't know. Like the dimensions are right. The finishes are the same. I have my suspicions, but there's no confirmation. The next deck I got is the, I'm gonna call it the Bookmark Tarot because I think these are just bookmarks that were created. This is the Red Raven Tarot. Um, and so the books, the deck, see a little booklet. They are created. Who's the artist? Oh my god, I can't remember the name. Um, Luong Vu An Dui. I probably butchered that. I'm sorry. Little, very tiny, mini little guidebook. Ah, what is this? Quick note: there's an alphabet board and the three of cup cards. There's a text in the Ace of Coins card. Its summary meaning is that the direction of the eye will be the direction of the card. The author of the Red Raven Tarot is a Tarot de Marseille user. This does not mean that the Red Raven Tarot is a Marseille style. Feel free to use it without being constrained by any specific rules. The Red Raven is limited edition. There are 200 decks around the world. That is a small number. Congratulations on being the owner of this strange Red Raven Tarot. They have a few other decks as well. And it's very much like, God, I don't know how to describe it. It's, oh God, it's so cool. And it's supposed to be horizontal. It's supposed to read it like this. So you're supposed to hold the cards like this. Very much like the, oh my gosh, who is it? The Shakespearean tarot and the Dickens tarot where the cards are on their side. So when you, so shuffling it is pretty good. I was afraid seeing how the cards were that like some of the cards would be mismatched and that it wouldn't be an even shuffle, but it's an even shuffle. It's good. It's a cool deck. And so then I believe, I'm not sure if I'm flipping them when I do this. I believe these might make them all reversed. But you would do it as such. All of these cards look like you can hold them like this, actually. You know, something like that, or even like this. But no, it's like this because of how the ground is in the tree and this. Gosh, it's so cool. Like it defies what's up and down and reversals. So again, this is one that would deserve its own thing, kind of. Like you can easily fill up each of these cards with your own meaning, I feel, and see how, and it's so, there's so much possibility with what you can do with all of these cards. Some of them are clear, like this is obviously the right up way to read it. But this definitely plays with like when you do like spreads that require cards to go like this, you know, you clearly see you see more of the crossiness, like you see more of the card under the other card and all that. So anyways, I wish the box fit the deck a little bit better, but it's still a cool box. I think that adds to its character, you know. It adds character, you know. So yeah, we're down to 2 decks. We're almost done, I promise. We're gonna do this one because the girlies have been talking about her for the past few weeks, past month maybe, the Ephemer Tarot, the sister to the True Black Tarot. I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts of again the same thing that I felt with the what is it, the Vinitsky tarot, that's the Alma Latina tarot. This one has Aztec depictions. We have the glyphs here of the calendar, and we have the sword here, the obsidian sword, and this warrior as the fighter. And then the next one that's there is the sacrifice, which, I mean, okay, for like, okay, like groundbreaking, for you're gonna have like a culture that and he points out that one of the things about why sacrifice was so integral and the to the Aztecs, and or well any ancient tradition that followed, well, not all of them because there were so many, and that was the mere fact that they believed that the gods, sacrifice. Here we have Quetzalcoatl here in the back in the gold here. So the idea is that the gods sacrifice themselves for us, so we in turn do the same for them. And that's the idea behind it. Their bodies became the land and the vegetables and the food that we grow, and the animals and all that. That's the idea. And the deck is gorgeous. It's definitely in line with the True Black and all that. But I don't know. It's the creators aren't Latino, and I just have some ideas as to like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, you know, yeah. It's just I don't know. It's not the worst. Trust, there's worse decks out there. Again, it's not on the same. It's not on par of like Alma Latina Tarot, where I'm like you're straight up. You're yeah, you're stealing our culture, you're profiting off of our culture, like, anyways. This is not to that extent, and I can look past it enough, but it's just a thing that I was thinking about, it's like, it's not your culture, so yeah, just things to be thought of. But I'm still gonna use it, I'm still gonna promote it, because it definitely is a much better, the cardstock is much more easy to shuffle compared to the first edition of the True Black. So yeah. The next one that I have, oh my god, I don't know if, again, I'm like very worried that you can hear my mom. The last deck, I believe, I'm not sure which one was the most recent that came in from Kickstarter. I believe the Ephemere was the most recent one, but this one also came with a bunch of other goodies. Like, it came with a shoulder bag, like a book bag, a tote bag, a pencil bag that I've been using, some pins, and I believe that's it. I think a spread cloth as well. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is the Woven Path Tarot. It's a 90 some card, 80 some card, I think. I can't remember. I think it's about over 90 cards. And it's a deck inspired and based around tapestries. Let me see here. 91, right? I believe, right? 78 cards with 13 zodiac cards. So it also includes Ophiuchus. No, I want to call it Ophiuchus, but it's Ophiuchus. So yeah, here's like Aries, and here's the Emperor. Like, usually the Emperor is Aries, but or corresponded to Aries. So yeah, it's gorgeous. Again, strength with a tiger. What can I say? Like, you want me to be invested in your deck? Make strength a tiger, and I'll love it. I love how very different the cards are. They have this lamination here, and then we have some cards are very highly detailed. I think there's only one card. I think it's the Four of Swords. Look at this Five of Cups, gorgeous. Uh, yeah, I think it's the Ace of Swords is so detailed. Uh, yeah, some of them range from simple to very ornate. Um, this is gorgeous. This is probably one of the best collaborative art decks here. I love this Ace of Coins. I love this artist, and I like that you can easily look up each artist in there. I follow this artist, Amanda Makepeace, right? Yeah. Yeah, here's the Ophiuchus. Like, that is such cool Ophiuchus. I want to call it Ophiuchus, but it's Ophiuchus. I want to call it Ophiuchus sounds better. It flows off, it rolls off the tongue easier. And then there's Scorpio. And then, yeah, there's the Ten of Swords. So cool. I love it. I'm very happy with this deck. I was like, I followed this along. I was like, when's the Kickstarter coming? When's it happening? I need to know. So yeah. Oh, come on. Stay awake, computer. We're still recording, computer. Thank you. There we go. So it shuffles really well. It shuffles beautifully. So yeah. Yeah, this, I probably would be able to read it just as it is. Maybe. I might take out the Zodiac cards, but other than that, I think I could have... I love this Page of Wands. Love it. Love it. So yeah, anyways. Unless that was the Page of Discs. Page of Wands, yeah. I was like, I don't know. Sometimes some of the cards will look like other cards. That's the thing with some decks that are made today. Like they just, I don't know. There's not enough thought put into them sometimes. But yeah, this is, love it. Love it, love it, love it. And the box is really nice. The hole is kind of stressful because I'm like, wait, what if water spills or whatever? But yeah, because it's supposed to go like this with the book. If my cards will behave, there we go. Yeah, so that the Changeling Artist Collective sign is there in the shield. So yeah. Anyways, that was that. That was that's been all the decks and books and stuff that I've gotten and I've read, and oh my god, that's my dad yelling, being my dad. And so yeah, because my mom's on the phone and my dad loves my nieces and nephews, so like he'll act up like that. But anyways, so yeah, there we go. That's been everything that I've consumed. And I've gotten and I've added to my collection, and yeah, hopefully I can get back to actually doing actual tarot content and discussing tarot and working with tarot and sharing that with you guys again. If I can. There's things going on and life gets in the way, and yeah, it's yeah, there's a lot going on. I might do a live stream on it and discuss and share, but yeah, for the most part, this is it. This is what I got, and yeah, there we go. Thank you for watching this 2.5 hour thing. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell for the next 3 hour video that honestly could have just been a live stream, but I don't want to deal with being distracted by chat, because if I did this live, this would have been easily an extra hour longer. So yeah, anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.